I know.
Shalom, and I hope everyone had a good week. I was just saying how we have been in a very tough time with, this blood moon, and in the I think it's the Gemara Habavli, the Babylonian Gemara, I believe it is, that it talks about how the blood moon is a sign of sword coming to the earth. And I'm like, how much sword can come already? We're in Swords of Iron. We're gearing up for the greatest culmination of this war that's been for 7 or 8 days straight, consecutive deployment for me. It's tough. It's draining. And I looked at that blood moon, and I was there. Everything was dark. I was outside at the blood moon, and it's just, you could see the stars really clearly that you never see. And I couldn't even see some sticks. I was trying to gather some sticks for a fire. Couldn't see the sticks. And I was like, this is so weird. I can't see the sticks. And then after the blood moon, after the eclipse passed, then you couldn't see any stars. And you could see everything. It was like a big flashlight. You could see everything. It was really wild. But I just know that whether or not this rabbi was correct or not, but a sword coming to the earth, there is definitely worry about Egypt. Could they open up a whole front? They look like they're preparing for something. Turkey, what about them? And their extremist teachings. And I look at all the events that happened in this right now. I mean, you just look at this. There was 9/11 memorial. That is really sad. Remember the greatest terror attack in the history of the West, the history of the United States. Thousands of people killed, and firefighters, and they're still adding names, to the firefighter wall because they're dying of the smoke inhalation, long-term effects. But then you have the shooting in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, just automatic weapons, mowing people down. Only 6 died is amazing. Murdered, not died. 6 murdered. It's amazing. There's hundreds of people there. It's like a mini miracle. But you look at the cyber attacks that are hitting us even right now from Iran, and how they try to take over the street light, the stop lights, the cameras, the Azrieli sign. They try to hack that. It's only by a miracle that we're able to thwart many of these. Try to assassinate our prime minister, our minister of defense, our ministers. They try to kill them. Try to bomb the house with a drone. Crazy stuff. And then you look at the 4 soldiers that were just killed. Where I go, where I serve. And we're gathering again, 130,000 troops. We're getting them trained. We're training for the completion of dismantling Hamas, disarming Gaza. That's the goal, not capitulation to terror. Disarming Gaza. And all the terrorist infrastructure. And then, of course, you have Charlie Kirk's assassination, which everyone's talking about that. And his wife spoke, Erica, right? She spoke and said that blood-stained microphone will be picked up. The blood-stained microphone is what Ben Shapiro said. And she says, I think she said the same thing. People are going to pick it up. And 18,000 Turning Point USA chapters opened up. And even in other countries, after she spoke, all over the world, which is amazing. And a friend of mine says he was with Charlie Kirk in Korea just 6 days ago. He called me up. He's like, we were just eating in a restaurant, and he was rallying Korea, South Korea, of course. And so it's very sad times. It can affect your spirit. It can affect your soul. It can affect your body. It can affect your mental health if you don't learn to say, well, God is the one in control of this country. He's in control of this place. We've had attacks on this very little tiny operation here. We've had people attack it. I've had death threats. You look around the whole world. There's not that many people who are willing to stand up and say, we're going to be a voice, like how Charlie Kirk was. We're going to be able to speak. And because you put a target on you do put a target on yourself by being out there. Is it Stephen Crowder, Ben Shapiro, people here, Pesach Holiki, Rudy Rochman. There's people that are out there that just stand up, and they're Hanani Naftali. These are people that are not government ministers and stuff, or generals, but just because they're speaking the truth, we're in a real tough time. So I wanted to just talk. That's what I wanted to call this: is what does it mean when you, what does it mean when you're either doing a job or you're doing a calling? Who here thinks that for Charlie Kirk, he was getting paid so well that was his job? מי חושב שלבן אדם הזה שנרצח, שזה פשוט העבודה שלו. פשוט עשה את העבודה, מקבל כסף, he gets paid, and he just does his job. Was it a job or was it a calling? Nobody could pay him enough money to do what he did, to risk his life. I mean, his whole family too is at risk. I mean, he's dealing with crazy, demonic people in this world. I would even say, not to compare myself to Charlie, but I've gotten death threats. I tell my kids, never say where we live. Never say, it's people. There's crazy people out there. There's little drones, attack drones. There's stuff. So what's the difference between a calling and a job? And the turning point. So I looked at book of Genesis, chapter 32, and there's a guy called Jacob. You were reading about this. There's a guy called Jacob, and he is wrestling with an angel. Wrestling. That angel has a very interesting, doesn't want to say his name, and it's kind of a mystery. It's not just a regular angel. There's something special about this angel. Some would even say it could be what's it called? A pre-incarnation appearance. Jacob wrestled and called the place Peniel, the face of God. He didn't say the face of an angel. That's what he called it. And he suddenly gets his name changed. He has a turning point. He has a turning point in his life. Turning point Israel. His name goes from Jacob to Israel. I think we're in a turning point in the world, not just Turning Point USA. That's the name of Charlie Kirk's organization, Turning Point USA. We're a turning point. איך אומרים בעברית turning point? נקודת מפנה. זה השם של הארגון של צ'רלי קרק. נקודת מפנה. Turning Point Israel. We're in a turning point. Jacob turned and changed, and he got a calling. That calling is still continuing all the way till today. If you think about it, even Israel today goes through struggles. To this very day, wrestling, all the way till today, our national identity is one of persevering through tension, calling forged in the fire, where there's pain, where there's persecution, but where there's persistence. And if you look at Hosea chapter 12, verse 14, it talks about that very thing. Hosea chapter 12, verse 14, it says the very thing that, it talks about how he wrestled. Let's not do 12. Anyway, he talks about how he wrestled in the book of Hosea. And where's that? I'll find that right now. Anyway, the point is that he wrestled, and you have that continuing legacy. Let's find that. It's through Hosea 12 verse 4, not 14. Hosea 12 verse 4, and it says, I'm going to look at that. Not verse 14, verse 4. Okay, and so he had first of all, his whole identity was holding the heel of his brother. That was his identity. Right. Holding on. It's kind of like you want something else. The grass is greener on the other side. And I'm just holding on to somebody else has got the blessing. And yet he prevailed in this with the angel, and he wept and made supplication to the Lord, where God found him in Bethel, and there he spoke with us, this people. Even the Lord God of hosts, the Lord is his memorial. Keep mercy and judgment, and wait on thy Lord continually. So you have this this national kind of ethos, you might call it, national ethos. And we know there's promise that the latter glory will be. I wrote a song, you'll see it real soon. I wrote a song called Greater Glory Yet to Come. The greater glory. We've seen the glory with in our history, with the fire coming down on the Temple Mount Moriah, Mount Zion, with Solomon's temple. There's going to be a greater glory yet to be seen, yet to come. So the song is called Greater Glory. We know these promises. We got to hold on to this in the trial, and that's what Jacob's holding on to. The promise is over. He's not going to die there, even though his thigh was touched. He wasn't going to die. He knows no matter what we go through, no matter going to war, going to everything we deal with, it's not going to be the end. It's not going to be the end. David went through a lot. Remember the mercies of David, your servant. That's in my song. Remember the mercies of David, your servant. We got to remember them. We bring them to the Lord's remembrance, you know. So we have a turning point as leaders ourselves where we know we're not here for a job. We're not here because of a job. They can't afford us. It's not for a job. We're here for a calling. You know, even what I do, people say you've done video 708 days consecutive deployment. That's a lot of work to do a video every day. Never mind the actual war itself. Do you think people could pay me for that? It's too, I wouldn't agree to. I couldn't do this. This is supernatural, I feel. So we see right now we're calling culture is what we want to cultivate here, a calling culture. Never can it be falling into the job. That amongst our whole team. קריאה, אני הולך להגיד לכל הצוות שאנחנו צריכים להיות בקריאה, לא עבודה, אנחנו לא פה בעבודה. אם נשכח את זה, אז אנחנו נאבד את כל זה השוני בין עמותה לבין חברה. If we were a company, maybe you could get away with it. It's just a job. But not in a charity, not with what we're dealing with, the holiness of what we're dealing with. Aliyah is the most holy thing. גם בעבודה.
כן, לא בעמותה, גם בחברה.
He's saying even in
קריאה,
can.
זה שונה לגמרי.
It's an exponential. Suddenly someone says, hey, I'm going to go back to America and open an office of the Aliyah Return Center. I'm going to go and rally a bunch of volunteers in my country. This is, nobody could pay somebody to do that. That's not what drives us, you know? And I think we just need to always remember that it's a calling culture here. That's what we cultivate, a calling culture. I know we know this, but it's just good to say it. In fact, I'm going to go back to our just quickly to our motto. Because some people, I always say it every week, people might be tired of hearing it. But just to say our motto, one more time, our motto. Okay, we're a family here, we're a team, we're a family. All right, so our motto is discipling nations to practically bless God, His land, and people. Discipling nations, all those flags out there, they're not decoration, they're nations who have joined with us and said, we're part of you guys. We've given our flag, we've donated, we're sending volunteers. That's what they've all committed, each of these countries. That's why their flag's out there. It's not a decoration. So they came and met with us and they got discipled to practically, not just with words or lip service, or even a Facebook like, which we want people to like and comment and share and subscribe and click the notification bell. But it's discipling nations to practically bless God, His land, and people. What's the greatest commandment is? What is the greatest? Love the Lord your God with all your heart. How do we do that? By fulfilling the Aliyah prophecies. That's how we do it here. Love the Lord your God with all your heart by fulfilling the Aliyah prophecies. Even if we can't make Aliyah, we can support it. And what's the second is like unto it? Love your neighbors yourself. How do we do that? In unconditional love and in uncompromising faith. Unconditional love, uncompromising faith. That's our motto. We're at a turning point in the world. My encouragement is, and it's time to ignite this culture of calling more. And the biggest thing, and so this is my encouragement, is this, Zelv, and I'll end with this, is I learned something in my life. I learned one important thing. It's good to look behind what people are saying. This is important to do. It's a hard thing to do. Someone says something and then you listen to it, but it's good to listen. Of course, you got to listen to it. But then what's behind it? Why did they say that? It's something very deep to do. Why is this person saying this? What are they going through? What are they trying to get at? What are they wanting me to do? Why are they saying this? Why do I say what I'm saying? Why does anyone say what they're saying? What's behind it? What's their calling, essentially? What's behind the things they're saying? And here's the hardest one. What's behind what you say? No one ever does a self-check. Why did you say that? No one ever does this. This is so important to do. Why did you say what you just said? I just say stuff. That's not good. No. We need to not only check why did someone say something, because then you'll know what's there. You'll see, you'll pretty easy. This is not something so hard. You can find out what's behind their words. They're trying to get something, they're trying to say something, trying to really to bless them. They're trying to instill fear, they're trying to instill whatever. And then, what's behind what you say? I'll tell you what's behind what I say this whole morning, is that we are here called, and I really believe that inside. We're part of a greater thing than us. We're part of a great culmination of history. We're part of a great kingdom calling found in this all throughout His Word, and we're part of it. And if we fall into this work thing, then we'll lose it. We'll lose sight of what we are, and we'll lose our exponential growth, and we'll lose our exponential power. And Charlie Kirk was a great example of living your calling out to the end, counting the cost, but going full force. So that's my encouragement. Calling, not job. Amen.